Hello everyone, Gorka here, and welcome back to Mega Man Rock Force. So, a while back I did some Mega Man Rock Force perfect runs, but during them I was using charge shots, especially on the bosses. So, I kind of feel guilty for doing it, which is why now I've decided I'm going to go through all the bosses again, but this time I'm going to beat them all uncharged Mega Buster no damage, just to satisfy my insides, so I don't feel guilty of beating them charged when I know it's possible beating them uncharged. Also, a viewer has also pointed out on one of my videos that it's possible, but I gave up. That motivated me to come back and do this, so thank you. So with that said, this should be interesting, this should be fun, this should be challenging. Let's move on to the first Robot Master. Okay, so before we actually get onto the bosses, I just wanted to show you, because the pictures of the bosses have actually changed a little bit. Like, Circuit Man looks a little bit different, Virus Man definitely has a different face, Photon Man looks more human. However, if you look at Charade Man now, he's in his normal portrait. However, if you go somewhere and go straight back, he didn't do anything, but come on, be cooperative, Charade Man. There he is. Charade Man starts changing things. That's pretty cool. Well, anyways, let's move on to the bosses now. Okay, so first up we have Photon Man. I came really close beating him in my perfect runs on charge, but I failed so many times, and for good reason. He is pretty tricky. He likes to corner you. You basically have to anticipate where Hugh's gonna jump. You want him to use his photon wave because he leaves himself very open. It's all about learning where the safe spots are when he uses his photon flare. Like, when he uses it there, you can go to the left corner and just stand there, you'll be safe. Now, you can go right to the wall. I jump, you don't actually have to there. And you basically don't want to get cornered, meaning you don't want him to jump on the platform where you are. Because then he can either jump away or he can punch you. He punched me quite a few times. And just kind of get lucky as well. So that's it for Photon Man. I'm also going to show a number. There you go. That's how many attempts it took me to beat him. I think I'm going to add this new feature. Should be interesting. So Photon Man took that many attempts. Definitely one of the harder ones of the original 8. Anyways, onwards to the next one. Okay, so next up is Crypt Man. I'm gonna go defeat him in the same order as I did in the perfect run, so... And isn't that laugh? That laugh has gotta be Soda Popinski's from Punch-Out! It has to be. Anyway, onwards to the fight. He's very pattern-based, so he's actually basically the same fight. Fighting him uncharged or charged. It just takes a little longer uncharged. He leaves himself invulnerable a little bit, but besides that, his dash attacks are easy to avoid. When he lands, you can shoot him. When he does his second land... Okay, never mind. He also has a jump attack, which he hasn't shown yet. There it is. He jumps once, creates shockwaves, then jumps a second time to create more. And basically, just keep dodging him. He gives you plenty of reaction time. This is a really straightforward fight. Not too difficult. See, so after he dashes, sometimes he leaves himself open. Or other times he goes straight into another attack. Kind of here, he just stood there and didn't do anything. And that's basically Crypt Man. Relatively straightforward one. Alright, onwards to the next one. Alright, next up is Virus Man. He can be a bit tricky depending on the attacks he gives you. The one thing to remember with him is when he releases his little virus babies, you can slide through his legs, as they don't have a hitbox. Right there, this attack you can also slide through. This is the attack. It's quite a deadly one, but his legs don't have a hitbox. So you want to try and take care of all the babies as you can. You have to also watch out for the little worms. I kind of got a bit lucky and slid under it. But the attacks you want him to do is either jump, as there's not really much going on, kind of like he's doing now. If you feel like you're getting cornered, you want him to do that attack and then you slide away. really, you just have to try and take out as many of the babies as you can and not get cornered like this. Like, that was a bit close. Sometimes he likes spamming it, as you can see. Oh, so yeah, this was a pretty intense fight. But this is when he starts jumping. Again, just don't get cornered, get away from him. And just keep focused and you will beat Virus Man. So that one's actually pretty fun to fight. Anyway, move on to the next one. Alright, next up we have Postman. He has a bit of a big hitbox, so you probably can't jump over him. You also don't want to get cornered by this guy. Sometimes he can stack 2 attacks, which make him unavoidable. If he shoots this one at you, you want to jump over it. And it just gives you just enough time to be able to jump underneath him when he jumps. If he decides to jump towards you. The 4 rings, they always follow the same pattern. Once you learn it, it's not that bad. Usually you want to stick to the high ground, but in this fight, you want to avoid it. Stay away from the high ground. You're more safe on the lower ground, as you can basically guide his big bubble like that if you jump. He's very pattern based. He just picks where he does the attacks from, or he does the attacks at different locations. Besides that, there's really no RNG in this fight. Like the 4 rings will always fly in the same pattern. And yeah, keep focused and Postman will go down. Pretty interesting fight. Not too difficult though. With him down, let's move on to the next one. Right, next up we have Shock Man. As you probably figured, he's really straightforward. The reason I took him last in the refight is because he's very pattern based. The battle just takes a little bit longer when you don't use charge shots. So when he holds his arms up, he'll throw them sideways and shoot these electricity jolts. Then he can jump a few times, he can run at you. If he holds them up, like I said, he's going to throw them at you. If he throws them sideways, if he holds them sideways like that, then he's going to throw them up and jolts will fly into him. Just make sure to jump, as the whole floor is basically an electric generator which he can electrocute. And that's that fight. Very straightforward fight. Very pattern based. Alright, with him down, let's move on to the next one. Alright, next up, Circuit Man. I figured he's gonna be a lot trickier, considering I had so many failed attempts in the Robot Remaster stage, but I found him really straightforward this time. Even his Circuit Breaker attack, which I found so difficult, it just seems a lot slower. Maybe he got, I don't know, nerfed a little bit. But yeah, even when he shows up his right arm, when you're on the right hand side, when he picks up his block, just make sure to be really close to him like that, and he throws it directly over you. So yeah, this is kind of a reaction fight. It's a fair one though. Just be aware that the Circuit Breakers, their explosions can hurt you. So if you get cornered and they explode next to you, they will hit you. So we have to be kind of careful to not get cornered. There it goes down. Alright, Circuit Man's down. Let's move on to the next one. Alright, next up, Fuse Man. Fuse Man seems intimidating, but once you learn that his attacks are very easy dodgeable, and the safe spots, as you can see, it's the one where he fires up, which I think you have to get away. Just make sure he doesn't land on you as well. But it seems like the dynamite never got to me, so that's definitely a safe spot you can abuse. Also, when he drops off the screen, just make sure you stay on one side of the screen and then slowly run towards the other one, and the dynamites seem to always avoid you. You can also jump, just in case. And yes, this Robot Master is definitely more intimidating than it looks. He looks difficult at first, but once you learn, he's not that tricky and he's fairly straightforward, you'll be able to beat him. Just make sure to jump when the dynamite lands, kind of... No? Not yet. is where he was really close to dying and he tried to hit me by throwing a dynamite directly where I was. So if I stood there, I would have got hit. So just make sure you jump to avoid the dynamite. And that's Fuse Man. Definitely a more intimidating one than a difficult one. With him down, there's only one of the first 8 left, and I wonder who that is. Oh boy. Okay, and last but definitely not least of the original 8 is of course Charade Man. Who else could it have been? This is a difficult fight. There's no hiding it. The blue bubbles only split 4 projectiles after a certain amount of time, and it's a set amount of time. Sometimes he loves spamming them. The one good thing is you can definitely stay behind him. So when he jumps, just hug the wall and jump over him. The pink bubbles turn into clones, although you can spam really quickly. That was a little bit of a close dodge there. You can spam to get rid of them. When you can slide under the blue bubbles, do it. And when you think they're gonna explode, try and be underneath it. Directly below it. Just keep your composure. I failed, I think about 3 times when he was on like 2 lines of HP. Sad times. A little bit of frame drop, so I apologize for that. But yeah, this is a difficult fight. It's no wonder I gave him a 10. It's probably a little bit easier with charge shots, but man, when you start spamming his blue bubbles, there is so much going on. Yeah, so a little bit of luck, good reflexes, and pure skill gets you to beat Charade Man. That was definitely a difficult one. But that's, with him down, the original 8 are down. So let's move on to the next 4 combined Robot Masters, or whatever you... Alright, so next up, Power Man. The first of the Fusion Robot Masters, you can't actually shoot him. You have to deflect off the objects he controls. So if he goes to the left side, he's going to control that laser. Middle, he controls this. This is probably what you want him to use the most, as you can get the most shots. That was a little bit of a close dodge there. And the last one, as you've probably suspected by now, is this with Spike that drives on the floor. You can get a few shots in off him, but you really want him to use this one, as you can probably easily get the most shots in on him. I apologize that the music's a little bit quiet as well. I'm not sure why that is. So yeah, this guy actually caused a lot more problems than I had first anticipated. All I'm going to say is the original 8 Robot Masters were a piece of cake compared to the next 8 Robot Masters you fight in a game. And these ones were tricky. You also don't really want to get cornered kind of like I am. There's not much room to navigate. You can actually basically deflect off everything in this battle. Use your slide when you can. It's very helpful. And my god, was that a close dodge as well. We almost got him. And did you see that KO? Did you see how close that was? I was landing on the spike as he exploded. Oh my god. That was really lucky kill, I have to say. Anyway, onwards to the next one. Alright, so next up, Charade Man. For such a name, this guy really isn't a problem. If he does that attack, just make sure you stay far away. He basically telegrams his attacks, and that's when he throws 2 spikes twice like that. He also jumps, but it's not really that big of an issue. Here, some bosses I know would probably be invulnerable during this attack, but you can actually hurt him. One shot, but it's always something, right? Also, try and make sure he doesn't land on you, kind of like you almost did there. And yeah, that was a little bit close. I don't know how I avoided that. He's one of those that always leaves himself open, so for a name like Charade Man, this guy is a joke. It's very easy. Again, try and not make sure he lands on you, because it almost happened twice. But there goes Charade Man. And 2 fusion down, 2 to go. Onwards to the next one. Okay, next up is Plague Man. And oh boy, was this guy a thing. He has two phases of the fight. The first phase, when you shoot him once, he drops his arm. Shoot him again, he drops his second arm. So it's kind of like you're dealing with 3 Plague Mans right now. You have to get the arms to coordinate. Once you shoot him enough, his snorkel flies off. And this is the easy part of the fight. When the arm comes up and down, it can't hurt you. You just have to make sure not to be hit by its little acid bubble. Again, that was a bit close there. My gosh, this guy was a thing. I did not expect him to take as many attempts as he did, but boy was I glad when I finally defeated him. It's just getting past phase 1 that's the difficult part. With him down, onwards to the next one. Okay, so the next Robot Master is Flair Man. I actually beat him uncharged flawlessly in my perfect run, but just for convenience sake, let's beat him again. So you actually want to stay really close to Flair Man and watch his as he telegrams his attack. Sometimes when he does, he can either do the stomp like that, which you want to face at him as it blows you away. Sometimes he's gonna make 4 flares fly out, which is why you want to be close to him, as being close to him kind of like that, you avoid them. He's basically also a guts man. He creates tremors when he lands. But for someone that has a fusion of Charade Man, he really wasn't as bad. He wasn't that bad. It's far worse Robot Masters. With him down, that's all the fusion Robot Masters. But there's one more. Onwards to him. Alright, next up is Death Man. He gets his own theme, and man, it's pretty kick-ass. I really enjoy this fight. This is a fair fight. It's a reaction-based fight, trying to see and predict where the scythe will go. Also, making him land on you. So we can throw his scythes in 2 ways. One which just flies around like a normal projectile. He can also throw his scythe as like a black hole void, which tries to suck you in. And the third attack which he can do, which I'm pretty sure he did almost at the end of the fight. He throws his scythe and it's affected by gravity. As you can see, it's bouncing like it has gravity. So this is all about reaction time, and it's a pretty fun fight. I definitely do have fun with that. So there's only 3 fortress bosses left. Onwards to them. Also, Mega Man 1 victory theme. Yay. Alright, next up, Fishman. The first of the fortress bosses, and oh my gosh, was this guy a thing. The fortress bosses actually get 2 phases. So phase 1 is more tedious than difficult. Once you learn all his attacks, he can either drift from the bottom or the top. When he drifts from the top, you can only really get 1 shine on him, so I call that the long, slow attack. And his other attack is when he comes out and shoots these projectiles, which split into 8 smaller projectiles. He can also drop bombs, or he will drop bombs when he goes from the top, and when he goes from the bottom, just slide underneath him. You can also jump over him. I figured out as I did it by accident once, and didn't get hit. So phase 1 of this fight, it's basically just a warm-up to phase 2. Phase 2 is when the battle really begins. You want to guide the projectiles, presumably up, as that gives you the most time to react to it. Because if you shoot them down, they basically split in your face, and you don't really want that. So phase 2, Fishman spawns these robotic fish, and sometimes they have such weird hitboxes that you feel like you shoot them, but you don't. He also, when he drifts across the top of the screen, he summons 3 fish to come attack you, fish bombs. This guy is just a threat all around. You also can't be too close when you blow up the fish, as that will also hurt you. My gosh, how many times have I failed? They're so spasticated. This is such a chaotic fight once he loses his pet. I honestly did not expect doing this uncharged to be that much harder than doing it charged, but you can shoot through the fish multiple and get a damage in on Fishman himself, which is what you can do with charged shots. What you want to try and do most of the fight is try and destroy the fish bombs, as they are a threat. They are a massive, massive threat. Without them, this fight would be a breather. But even when you start getting cornered, this is just a really crazy fight. There's also a very annoying habit of landing on you. when he lands on you, you just feel so bad because Fishman, who jumps so slowly, lands on you. At this point, I pretty much knew I was gonna beat him, and oh my gosh, I was so happy because this guy took a while. Almost to the Alright, next up, Photon Man, Fortress Stage 2 boss. The first phase also has 2 phases. First phase is surprisingly easy, as the truck, I thought, would take 1 line of damage, but surprisingly it takes 3, so whether you do this phase charged or non-charged, it doesn't matter. You also don't really want to shoot the snowflakes, and watch out when he drops the snowballs. You have to rely on him to actually shoot the ice cube out, because if he doesn't shoot the ice cube, he doesn't get damaged. So if he was really smart, he would just keep doing the snowball and snowflake attack, but for that I'm thankful. So when he does do the snowflakes, try and not shoot them as they split into projectiles, kind of like that. And just when he shoots an ice block, it's basically your cue to do damage. Make sure remember that snowballs, when they land, they split into, I think, 4 projectiles that go all over the place. Onwards to phase 2. He seems to do jumps in sets of 3, a small one, a medium one, and a big one. And then this is one of his attacks when his head starts bouncing. Only his head has a hitbox. You can also shoot shockwaves like that. And this is a funny attack. The legs start trying to chase you, but you just want to do tiny little hops over his legs and try and keep shooting his head. Oh, so we jumped twice. So he always seems to do a low and then a big jump. If you can read the attack in time, you might be able to stay safe by just standing next to the wall. You can also slide underneath the shockwave, as you saw. And coming up is kind of a close dodge as well. Like, yeah. But that's Photon Man. He was nowhere near as big of a threat as Fishman. Almost. And so lastly, the final boss, Justice Man himself. Also has 2 phases. Phase 1, once you learn how he telegrams all his attacks, whether he shoots, whether he slides, whether he walks, or whether he jumps, you can actually stay really close to him. Some people say, keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer, which is what I like to do in this fight. Stay as close to Justice Man as you possibly can, and try and basically read his attacks. Also, when he shoots, you have to jump really early. That was very, very close there. Also, the music is also really epic. And so, phase 2. He turns into non-Justice Man, he starts flying. Once again, he forms with his fallen comrades. He's a bit of a threat in this phase, because you need him to cooperate and go down, so you can actually damage him, otherwise you can't using the Mega Buster. So we can do this attack, or we can shoot 4 spheres which circle going towards. He also likes to switch directions as well as shooting an orb which you have to jump over, which means you have to jump into either Justice Man or take the hit. So he likes cornering you that way. Kind of a bit of a close dodge there. This is the 4 sphere attack I was talking about. Again, another very close dodge. You just have to be able to read the orbs in time, whether you have to jump over them, whether you can just do nothing, or whether you want to slide underneath them. I like to guide that one, go to one direction and then go straight away the other one. The lasers are always random as well, where he decides to pick them, so that's also random. Now, Justice Man is down, that is all of them. But before I finish off this video, one more quick conclusion, which we'll get to in a moment, about what I'm going to be doing in the future. Okay, so to conclude this was only the normal mode fights. There is still hard mode fights, which I'll cover in a moment, but first, there is also 4 new Fusion Robot Masters, which got added a while ago. I just never got around to doing them. So alongside Power, Terror, Plague, and Flair, there is 4 more new Robot Masters, which fuse depending on who you defeat last. If you defeat a Robot Master in the corner last, then you get the new 4. If you defeat the last Robot Master you defeat is in the edge, so in the middle between the corners, then you will get the 4 I've already done. So I'll be covering those 4 probably sometime in the future, and after that I will get to doing hard mode, Uncharged Mega Buster, no damage of all the bosses in this game. That's going to be an interesting one. That's going to be pretty challenging, but also should be quite fun. So with that said, hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Drop a like if you did. They always help me out. And until next time, I shall see you soon. Till then, take care.